Hey everybody, it's your boy Captain Hunter coming at you again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And make sure that you do us all a favor, and that's hit that rate, subscribe, and share button. Hit that rate, subscribe, and share button. Make it do what it do. Let's make the channel grow. Over here at Captain Hunter's podcast, where we are trying to make men the best versions of themselves that they can be. We are trying to make men, young men, middle-aged men, old men, the best versions of themselves that they can be. It is never too late to work on yourself, to make adjustments, to make course corrections. It's never too late. I know that they say, there is a saying that you can't teach old dogs new tricks. Well, I just don't believe that. I think that you can. And I'm pretty sure I've read along my educational journey that you can actually teach old dogs new tricks. Might be tough. Might have a little bit of challenge because of their age and different ailments that they may be dealing with, but you can teach them. So having said that, let's jump into the reason for our discussion for today, and that is, of course, Coach Deion Sanders. Coach Prime Time, whatever you want to call him. Bigger than life personality, always has been. I remember him at his days of Florida State. Remember him at his days, for the Cowboys and for the Falcons. I remember him playing baseball as well. And I think he had a stint at the 49ers as well. So he's been around and been a phenomenal athlete. Can't take that away from him. And what I appreciate is his ever evolving personality. He's made some mistakes along this path, but he's always continuing to learn and to evolve. And that is one thing I really want us to learn and to grow by ourselves. I did 2 videos about my disappointment in Deion Sanders and why we need more men like Deion Sanders. So in my previous videos, I discussed how we need more men who would be willing to go into the community and be seen as a father figure to the individuals there. He was so willing to pour out his time, energy, resources, gave half of his salary to individuals or back to the school, bought them dinners and all kinds of different stuff. And really was just a benefit to the whole Jackson State University down there and their football program, and showed them the way that things could be done and the way that things should be done. Let me emphasize that. Many times in our careers and in our lives, we will get around situations in which we will run into people and they will not have the best of intentions. It's up to us to be the shining light and a gleaming example of how we should be, how they should be. And it's up to them to emulate us, to see the correctness by which we live our lives. And up to us, and it's up to them to ultimately make the change. Deion, let me just call him Coach Prime. Coach Prime, obviously, I don't know his whole backstory. I'm not really interested in his backstory. Well, his backstory is interesting, but it's not something I'm going to do. I'm not doing a biography about the man. I'm talking about his evolution as we see him today. We see him today as being a senior spokesman, considering and we can see the evolution of maturity that he has had throughout the years, and now he is able to be that coach that these young kids need, because he was there. He's been there. He's been through the rigors and the roles. He's been through the ups and downs, to the fights and arguments with spouses and loved ones and divorces, and he's able to reach back and give a wealth of wisdom and knowledge. And as I was preparing to give this talk, I was not, I'm not going to pull up everything, but I did read where he brought in certain individuals who were able to speak to the young men about the wiles of being sexually indiscriminate and not being able to control their emotions and not being able to control their libidos, right, to the young brothers out there. That type of discipline is something that all men, particularly of senior age men, I'm talking 40 and up, you really ought to be in a place now where you can reach back and talk to the young men and say, hey, listen, don't make the same mistakes that I did. I think that it's very, very vital, and it is essential to individuals, that we really reach back. And that's where I wanted individuals to take that from Coach Prime in my speech before, about him being a role model and why we need more men like him. And then, of course, a few months later, he ended up leaving Jackson State University. And then I expressed my disappointment in him. And in that, I thought that he would be such a beacon for the HBCU, the historically black colleges and university system, and that all prominent athletes, particularly first starting with the football teams, would want to go to Jackson State, number one. And if you can't get into Jackson State, then you would flood into other HBCUs because you want to play against Jackson State. And then next thing you know, the Jackson State, or the whatever's, I think they're in the SWAC, Southern Western Athletic Conference, I think that's where they're at, would benefit from that. And then they would, that would be the new dominating force, potentially. Of course, that, the ACC or the Big Ten or somebody else would try to take them out of it, but you have to hold tight to purpose in the face of being thrown money at and all that kind of stuff. So that's a discussion for another time. But Coach Prime was that guiding force to be able to do that. He was that guiding force. And so now we understand through many, and something I'm going to play, and I there's been other videos, I can't seem to find them, and I don't want to play what other people have played. I don't want to take it from their channel. I want the original source for this stuff, so I couldn't find it. So I am going to play something that he said back in March of 2023, and we'll get to that in a minute here. But I think it's really, really essential that we understand, that his focus, his determination, his rise to purpose is really what I want to focus on and emphasize for today's discussion. So we have to be able to stay on that and get to that, right? So Deion Sanders continues to focus on the prize despite our opinions. This is from the Suave Report, something I never heard of, but I do believe it's by the particularly African-American persuasion. I think that they wrote it. December 3rd, 2022, Deion Sanders made headlines for leaving Jackson State University after rejuvenating the football program that was considered mediocre by most. It was the hottest story in congested sports news period of 2 straight weeks, especially in the black community. 9 months later, the program that Primetime left his historically HBCU for made headlines for defeating Texas Christian Horned Frogs, the national runner-ups for the last season, 45-42, in a thriller that featured his sons, Shador and Shiloh Sanders, as well as former 5 high school recruits and number 1 prospect for the class of 2022, Travis Hunter, no relation that I know of. Some people were in favor of his decision to leave Jackson State, while others were upset and in some cases outraged by selling out and jumping from HBU ship as something better opened up. That is not the case, and we'll get into that. I'm sure that by now you all have heard the stories. You know a little bit about this particular case, but I just want to give my opinion about why now, I'm in agreement with him. And I hate to be in that place where I'm agreeing that people ought to leave the HBU system or anything that we're trying to do as far as community engagement and community building. But when you are surrounded by individuals who are not on the same path, not in the same mind, not in the same frame of thinking, don't have the same trajectory, don't have the same goals, there's nothing else that you can do but leave them behind. I just had a conversation with my son saying that I heard when I was a young kid, not young, but in my 20s, that if you are the smartest one amongst your friends, then you need new friends. And we got to adopt that mindset, and that's what I believe that Deion Sanders had, and why he ultimately decided to leave Jackson State. Those who were outraged cited Sanders' promise that he would bring the top-level talent to Jackson, Mississippi. I believe that all people that you know with a child has a D1 Power 5 potential can now choose Jackson State, Sanders said. Sanders misled Jackson State. Sanders cheated the university. Sanders aided in the narrative that HBCUs aren't valued in the same light as the PWI, or predominantly white institute. Even one of his worst football programs that finished last season with an 11-1 record snagged Sanders from a premier HBCU football program. These are only the few things people complain about after Coach Prime's big move, right? I'm debating whether I want to read this whole thing. So let's read this by Eldridge Rikasner. Deion Sanders' son was a quarterback, HBCU. So he's just talking about how he did that season. I don't know if this is really worth reading the whole thing. Let's jump down here. But Colorado football is on their mind because of its hottest topics in week after week one of the college football season. A black man who is unapologetically black, exuberating black culture, and speaking his truth as he did even his professional playing days, immediately defied the odds by translating what he did at FCS level at JSU to a Power 5 program in Colorado. I've always found it interesting how the world can be against you one day and then cheering you on the next, all based on a narrative built on social media. Deion Sanders joins track superstar Sha'Carri Richardson in recent instances where this has happened. Okay, so I'm going to leave it right there, right? So there's been numerous stories. We can all read them about his transformation and the opinions about why he left. But I think it's essential to get from the horse's mouth. So I'm going to play a video. Hopefully, I will be able to play the whole thing here without getting flagged on YouTube. But if not, I'll go back and make the necessary adjustments and edits and all that. So we're going to watch this video right here on why brother Coach Prime decided to leave.
Let's get the cat out of the bag, man. Let's go ahead and talk about that. You're right on all accounts. I appreciate you. Never once did I say they're going to put a tombstone with my name on it at Jackson State, so I wasn't going to die here. Y'all know that. Everything I said I would do, I did. Everything I said I wanted to happen, I tried my darnest to make it happen. We've exceeded, I think, expectations in some realm. But when I don't fit into someone else's plan and purpose, now there's ridicule. But you forgot about my plan and God's purpose. That's where the dysfunction comes. I reached a point where I said to myself, we're going to go out there and recruit another great class, and we were, and TC will, and we're going to win again. So at what point do we keep dominating that you don't get mad at us for dominating? Because it's a level of dominance where you start to turn. And I felt that. We start to get tension from our own people because you're dominant, and you start saying, well, that's Prime. He can recruit that. We ain't got that. We don't have this. We heard that last night. You're 4 and 5 stars. Yeah.
So I think that what he's alluding to is speculating. I'm not following football. I got to be completely honest. I used to follow college football and the NFL religiously. I no longer do it anymore. But I think what he's talking about in particular is his dust up with Eddie Robinson Jr. after a game in which they were mad at him for running up scores or whatever they were mad at him about. And I remember hearing the story in passing. Of course, this is a year or so ago, so I'm trying to go off from memory. But I think that is what he is talking about here. Is you're mad, okay, Coach Prime can get these players, and now you're coming into this league from out of nowhere, and you're, kind of showing us up. But the point is to now, again, the point is to make the whole entire league better, right? So if you can't go to Jackson State, you go to Morgan State, you go to Delaware State. Not Delaware State. Is that? I don't even think. Yeah, Morgan State. Whatever other, Florida A&M, other HBCU football teams, and Grambling, and try to make those programs better as a student athlete, right? If I can't get to Coach Prime, but I'm still a hot topic, instead of me going to Oklahoma or to Notre Dame or Nebraska, I'm going to go to, Grambling and try to build up that program. That was the point of which I think that they could have gotten to. But let's finish listening to Prime.
Because we recruit those and they sign. But it comes a time that's not what it's all about for me. I'm a winner. I've always won. I'm going to win. Y'all know that if you've done your homework. But it's bigger than that. It's about increasing enrollment. It's about the safety of students. It's about going to the next level, not just in football. I would love to go to another conference. Is the rest of the school ready? Is the baseball team ready? Is the basketball teams ready? Or just the football team? So you make it just about football, and it's not just about football to me. It's about our trainers. and kids that the fire alarms may go off and not being turned off at 3:15 in the morning. It's about people that may not have the proper safety on a campus that they should. I'm not just talking about Jackson State, I'm talking about everywhere. So the things that I want to accomplish, I can't do it by just being the darn football coach. And
Okay, I want to pause right there. I don't want to get any strikes or anything. I constantly have to edit videos because I get strikes. But this is important, right? Because the stories and the narratives that we heard were that there was a lack of safety on the campuses. I believe his locker was broken into during games at least twice. Fire alarms going off. You've heard about different problems. I remember reading about a problem at Howard University about an insect problem. You don't go to school to have to suffer through these problems. So you have to really elevate your thinking along these lines, right? And so he's saying, is the rest of the school ready? Not just about sports, but you have to be ready to deal with the pressures that come with that, the financial responsibilities that come with that. And so, the football's going, well, okay. But the football will lead to other things. Okay, we got this now. We can now begin to recruit better coaches for the basketball and for the baseball and for the softball and women's basketball teams, etc. We can get the best coaches because we're able to pay them. Another article I may discuss talks about the pay, not only that he was receiving, but that his coaches and staffs was receiving was subpar in comparison to the other schools of similar sizes, right? And if you're bringing all this money in, if Jackson State in the city of Jackson and the state of Mississippi is bringing all this attention and bringing all this information and all this money in, and ESPN is coming there, and Troy Aikman is going there, and all these big stars are going there. You want to make sure that they're safe, the security's up to par, the police are on board, that the camera systems are working, that the alarm systems are up and working. This is where all the upfront money, or even some of the back end money, should have been going into getting. We're going to get this. We're going to make these investments because this man is bringing millions of dollars and millions of eyes onto our program and into our institute. So you build up the sports programs. The next thing you know, you turn Jackson State into a mecca and into a beacon of the academic facilities, academic programs, because you've got the instructors and professors who now want to go teach at Jackson State because many of the other issues have been taken care of, the security and the alarm systems and the fire systems and any other type of any other security measures around the school. It's a safe environment for your kids, for your staff, and for their possessions, their cars when they're on campus, etc. And so this is some of the things you have to have this ready mindset. He's being very, very diplomatic in his approach to addressing this particular phenomenon, but this is some of the things that they have had to deal with.
Winning games. I can't do it. And I reached a point where I had a real conversation with the Lord. Now, it's funny how you believe the Lord when he said to come here, but you don't believe me when I tell you the Lord may tell me to do otherwise. It's like my God is talking to you about me. I don't think he works like that. But it's so much more that I can't do because that's not my occupation. I'm a football coach and a darn good one. And name one thing in football that we haven't accomplished that I said we would. But it's bigger than that. And until we address these underlying issues that nobody wants to talk about, ain't nothing gonna change.
Yeah.
Football, yes. But what else is gonna change?
Yeah. We have to change our mindset. You have to elevate your mind in order to get to where you need to be in life. You have to make better decisions. You have to make better decisions. And those are the decision makers, the president or the provost, whatever they call them at Jackson State. You have to make better decisions. The team leaders, the academic advisors, the team leaders, the command staff at this particular university, along with State University, it really should do a deep dive into, in my estimation, Jackson State should take a hard look and hire an outside firm to take a look at what happened with this situation. right? I think if it's a state-funded facility, you might want to call in, someone from the state, some economic advisory board, and say, what happened here, and how do we make sure that this type of situation doesn't happen again? Because the state of Mississippi and Jackson University, for all intents and purposes, had the golden goose. They had the golden goose and they dropped it. They fumbled the bag, they dropped the ball, whatever euphemism you want to say, they had it. They could have turned, this was the potential of something larger than life and really turning football on its head, which may be why they lured him away, Really had the potential of doing something really, really dynamic for all of football, HBCUs in particular. And to have fumbled this, to have dropped the ball, is really unacceptable. And it has to be. And I'm not saying that people can't be lured away because you get an opportunity for more money, but Deion Sanders has made some very surreptitious allegations of improprieties and lack of forward thinking, lack of cutting edge mindset thinking, really, really some problematic problems that really need to be addressed. And without addressing those problems, situations, without addressing them, there can be no change. You'll have more conditions like this. And if you really want to turn your academic facility into something that's great and wonderful, and that's something that can be proud of, you really have to step back and say, we need somebody to come in here and take a look at what we've done and how we handled this situation, or what we could have and should have done better. All the time, it should be done all the time after any major critical incident, particularly in the police world where I'm very familiar with. I would imagine it's done in any corrections facility, fire department, military does it all the time. Critical incident debriefings, after action report, call it what you will. They need to do the same thing here and just figure out what happened. Because there's some blame to go around here. Now, if it's if it was just strictly a money thing, then there's nothing you can do about that. Listen, we don't have the money today, but maybe in 3 years, once we get to that place, we'll have the money. We got to pay off debt, rehab the school, whatever we got to do in order to get there. You bear with us, we'll get there. And if Deion says, oh, I don't have time for that, I don't have the patience for that, then that's not something else. But if the allegations are that they were skimming off the top, that the money that we made for the football team isn't going to the football team, it's being spread around other locations, to other departments, then that's something that's got to be dealt with. And if there's other nefarious things that were going on here, then those things have to be dealt with, because they can continue to contribute to a broken system and to the broken mentality that Deion is alluding to right here. So,
and I'm a change agent. That's what it's all about to me. Because I'm not just attached to the football players, the equipment persons, the trainers, the academic persons, everybody on campus. When we leave, you're going to find out what all we did. Because they don't really talk about the positivity until we go. You'll find out what all we did for Jackson State.
All right, so I'm going to leave it off right there. There's so much more that I could say, and I'm just going to leave it off right there. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions about what you think about what Coach Prime said. Should he have left, and all that. So, I'm going to leave it off right there. So, let me know your thoughts, your opinions about what you think about Coach Prime. Should he have left? Should he not have left? Should he stayed there and stuck it out and all that? So.